Hello, EdUTG family. Today we introducing to research methodology scientific writing, chapter 3. Firstly, uh, like, subscribe, share this channel. Chapter 3, the research problem and literature review. The research problem. The research problem is one which requires a researcher to find out of the best solution for the given problem. There are many problems situations that may give rise to research. There are three sources usually contribute to problem identification. Firstly, own experience or the experience of the others may be a source of problem supply. Second, a second source could be scientific literature. You may read about certain findings and notice that certain fields was not covered. This could lead to a research problem. Third, theories could be a third source. The following point must be taken into account while selected a problem. First, subject which is overdone should not be normally chosen, for it will be difficult task to throw any new light in such as a case. Too, too narrow or too vague. Va- vague. Too narrow or too vague or big problems should be avoided. 3. The problem should be chosen in such a way that the integrated or elements required for the study should be right in the research reach of a researcher. 4. The importance of subject to qualification and the training of researcher. The cost involved, the time factors are few other criteria that must also be considered in selected a problem. 5. The selection of problems must be preceded by primarily study or literature review. What is the necessity of defining a research problem? Necessity of defining a research problem is important to formulate research probably problem probably. Quite often we we all hear that a problem clearly stated in a problem have solved. The problem to investigate must be defined clearly because it will help to discriminate relevant data from the irrelevant ones. A proper definition of research problem will enable to research to be on the track, whereas an ill-defined vague problems may create hurdles or obstacles. Question like what data are to be collected, what characteristics of data are relevant and need to be studied, what relations are to be explored from the data, what techniques research, what techniques or research design are to be used for the purpose. Similar other questions crop up into mind of the researcher who can well plan his strategy and find answer to all such questions only when the research problems has been well defined. Thus, defining a research problem probably is a prerequisite for any studies and it a step of the highest importance. It is only one carefully detailing the research's problem that will can work out the research design and must smoothly carry on all the consequential consequential steps involved with well done research. What the techniques involved define the research problem. The technique for the purpose involved the undertaking of the following steps, generally or one after the other. First, state, state, statement of the problem in a general way. Two, understanding the nature of the problem. Three, survey the available literature. Four, developing the idea through decisions. And the last one, rephrasing the research problem into a working uh, proposition. Example, develop research questions. What are the techniques involved define the research problem continued? In addition to why has been stated above, the following point must also be observed. Well-defined research problem. Technical terms and words or phrases with special meaning used in the statement of the problem should be clearly defined. Basic assumptions or post Basic assumptions or postulates or hypotheses, if any, related to the research problem should be clearly stated. A straightforward statement of the value of the investigation, that means the creation criteria for the selection of the problem, should be provided. The sustainability of the time period and the source of the data available must also be considered by the researchers in defining the problem. The scope of investigation or limit within which the problem is to be studied must be maintained explicitly in defined research problem. Sample research problems topic. Impact of ICTs on learning and achievement. How mobile technologies change our culture. Its violence in the media and in video games, damaging children's mental health. How then social media change individuals' perception on the society and themselves? How can cybersecurity be improved? Effective investigation of crimes factors. Effective investigation of road traffic accident factors. Research objectives. Objective can be general or specific. The general objective of your study stated what you expect to achieve in general terms. A specific objective breaks down the general objective into similar logically connected parts that systematically address the various aspects of the problem. Your specific objectives should specify exactly what you will do in each phase of your study, how, where, when, and For what purpose? Establishment of research objective. Research objective is the specific component of the research problem that you will be working to answer or complete in order to answer to our research problem. The objective refers to the questions to be answered through the study and indicate what we are trying to get from the study or the expected results, outcomes of the study. Research objective should be clear and achievable. The objective may be specific in the form of statement. Generally, they are written as statement using the word to, for example, to discover, to identify, to determine, to establish, etc. Note: each specific objective should have a single key result. Literature review. Literature review is a summary of study related to a particular area of research. Literature review is a summary of studies related to a particular area of research. It identifies and summarizes all the relevant research conducted on a particular topic. It is important that your literature review is focused. Therefore, you should choose a limited number of studies that are central to your topic rather than trying to collect a wide range of studies that might not be closely connected. Literature Literature reviews help you to accomplish the following: evaluate past research. Collecting relevant resources will help you see what research has already been done. This will also help avoid duplication. Identify experts. It is important to identify credible or reliable research who have knowledge in a given field in order to seek their help if you get difficulty with certain aspect of your research. Identify key questions. Your ultimate aims in to bring something new to the conversation. Collecting resources will help you determine the important questions that need to be addressed. Determine methodologies used in past studies. Knowledging how others have approached a particular topic will give you the opportunity to identify problem and find new way to research and study a topic. If the reported methodology was successful, you can use it and save time that you would otherwise be spending on optimization. Source of literature: books and journals, electronic database, full text database and abstract database, governmental and industry report, internet, research dissertations or thesis. Present literature review in the introduction selection. Presenting literature review in the introduction selection. The literature review in the introduction should introduce the topic, establish the significance of the study, provide an overview of the relevant literature, establish a background for the study using the literature, identify knowledge gaps, illustrate how the study will advance knowledge on the topic. Presenting literature review in the discussion selection. In discussion selection, you find should be the focus rather than those of other researchers. Therefore, you should only use the studies mentioned in the literature reviews as supported and evidence for your study. There are three ways in which you can use literature review in the decision selection to provide context for your study. Use study from the literature review. Help to set the formulation for how you will review your findings and developing your ideas. Compare your findings to other studies. You can use previous literature as a backdrop to compare your new findings. This helps discover and also advance your idea. State the contribution of your study. In addition, develop your ideas. You can use literature review to explain how you can study contribute to the field of study. Like, subscribe, share this channel. Thank you. The next we see chapter 4, data collection and analytical methods. Data collection methods. First, primary data collection method. The term primary data refers to data collected by yourself rather than data you gather after another partly initially record it. Primarily detailed data is information obtained directly from the source. Primary data is information obtained directly from the source. We can obtain primary data through observation method, interview method, questionnaire method. Observation method. Observation, as the name implies, is a way of collecting data through observing. The main advantage of this method is subjective bias is eliminated if observation is done accurately. The information obtained under this method relates to what is currently happening, independent of the respondent's willingness to respond, and as such is relatively less demanding of the active cooperation on the part of respondents. Interview method. The interview method of collected data involves presentation of oral, verbal motivation and reply in terms of oral, verbal responses. This method can be used through personal interviews and, if possible, through telephone interviews. Interviewing is an art governed by certain scientific principles. Every effort should be made to create friendly atmosphere or trust and confidence, so that respondent may feel at ease while taking to and discussing with the interviewer. The interviewer must ask questions properly and intelligently and must record to response accurately and completely. At the same time, the interviewer must answer reasonable questions, if any, asked by the respondent and must clear any doubts. Questionnaire method, you know, questionnaire method. Questionnaire, this method of data collection is quite popular, particularly in a case of big or investigation. It is being adopted by private individuals, research workers, private and public organizations, and even by governments. In this method, questionnaire is sent delivered to the persons concerned within a request to answer the questions and return the questionnaires. A questionnaire consists of a number of questions printed in different order on a form. The respondent have to answer the questions on their own. It is free from the bias of the interviewer's answer and in respondent own words. Essentials of a good questionnaire. To be successful, questionnaire should be comparatively short, simple, and clear. Should be easily understood. The size of the questionnaire should be kept the minimum. Questionnaire should processed in logical sequence, moving from easily to more difficult questionnaires. Personal questionnaire should be lifted to the end. Technical terms and vague expressions capable of different interpretations should be avoided in questionnaires. Questionnaire may be closed-ended, yes or no answer, multiple choice, or open-ended, investing free response. Open-ended type of question are often difficult to analyze and hence should be avoided in the questionnaires to the extent possible. Secondary data collection method. Secondary data means data that are already available. That means they refer to the data which have already been collected and analyzed by someone else. When researchers utilize secondary data, that he has to look into various sources from where he can obtain them. Secondary data may either be published data or unpublished data. Usually, published data are available in various publications of the central logical governments, various publications of foreign governments or international bodies and their subsidiaries or organizations. Technical and trade journals, books, magazines, and newspapers. Report and publication of various associations connected within business and industry, banks, stocks, exchange, etc. Report prepared by research scholars, universities, economists, etc. It is different fields. Public records and statistics historical documents, and other sources or published information. The source of published data may available at scholars and researchers, workers, trade association, public or private organization. Research must be very carefully in using secondary data. He must make a minute investigation because it is just possible that the secondary data may be unsuitable or may be indicate in the context of the problem which the researchers wants to study. Before using secondary data, you must see the that they possible the following characteristics. Reliability of data. The reliability can be tested by finding out such things about the data, who collected data, what were the source of data, were they collected by using proper methods, as at what time were they collected, suitability of data. Secondary data collection method. The second, suitability of data. The data that are suitable for one inquiry must not necessarily be found suitable in another inquiry. The objective, scope, and nature of the original inquiry must also be studied. If the researchers find differences in these, the data will remain unusable for the present inquiry and should not be used. Adequacy of data. Third, if the level of accuracy achieved in the data found indicates for the adequate of purpose of the present inquiry, the data should not be used by researchers. The data will considered indicate if they are related to an area which may be narrow than the area of the present inquiry. Note the already available data. Secondary data should be used by the researchers only when he finds them reliable, suitable, and adequate. Data processing and analyzing. Data processing. Data processing is operation performed within data in its raw form and converts into a more readable format or usable information for further experiment. We can use the following processing operation: editing, coding, classification, and templation. Data processing and analyzing. Editing of data. It is a process of examining the collecting raw data to detect errors and omissions and to correct this when possible. Editing is done to assure that the data are accurate, consistent with other facts gathered and formally entered as completed as possible, and have been well arranged facilitates coding and tabulation. Coding refers to the processing of assigning number, numerals or other symbols to value so that response can be put into a limited number of categories of or classes. Classification. Most research studies results in large value of raw data, which must be reduced into homogeneous groups if we are to get meaningful relationship. Classification of data, which happens to be the process of arranging data in groups or classes on the basis of common characteristics. Data having a common characters are placed in one classes, and it is this why the entire data gets divided into a number of groups or classes. Classification can be one of the following two types depending upon the nature of the phenomenon involved. Classification according to attribute and classification according to class intervals. The first classification according to attributes, data are classified on the basis of common characteristics which can either be descriptive such as sex, accident level, etc. Classification according to classes intervals, then numerical characteristics can be measured through some statistical unit. Data relating to get wide etc. come under this category. Classification according to class intervals, there are two parts, data relevant to each and each group of class interval. Those has upper limit as well as lower limit which are known as class limits. Tabulation. Tabulation, which means of data has been assembled in becomes necessary for the researchers to arrange in some kind of logical order. This procedure is referred to as tabulation. Thus, tabulation is the process of summarizing raw data and displaying the sum in compact form, that means in the form of statistical tables, for further analyzing. In broader sense, tabulation is an orderly arrangement of data in columns and rows. Tabulation is essential because of the following reasons. It facilitates the process of comparison. It facilitates the summarization. If it facilitates the summation of items and detection of errors and omissions, it provides a basis for various statistical computations. Data analysis. Data analysis is the process of evaluating data using analytical and logical reasoning to examining each component of the data provided. This form of analysis is just one of the many steps that must be completed when conducting a research experiment. Data from various sources is gathered, reviewed, and then analyzed to perform some sort of findings or conclusions. Data analysis tools make it easier for users to process and manipulate data, analyzing the relationship between data sets, and it is also help to identify patterns for interpretation. Python, MATLAB, SAS, etc. There are several types of data analysis techniques that exist based on business and technology. Some of data analysis techniques are Text analysis. It is a method to discover patterns in large data sets using database or data mining tools. It is used to transform raw data into business information. Business intelligence tools are present in the market, which is used to take strategic business decisions. Overall, in offer a why extract and extract and examine data and delivering patterns and finally interpretations of the data processing and analytical. Next, statistical analytical. Statistical analytical, descriptive analytical analysis, analyze completing data or simple or summarized data. It shown mean and deviation for continuous data, whether as percentage and frequency for categorical data. Inferential analytical analyze simply from complete data. In this type of analytical, you can find different conclusions or interpretations from the same data by selected different samples. C. Predictive analytic. B. Statistical analytic. C. Predictive analytic. This analytic make prediction about future outcome based on the current or past data. For casting, in just estimate its accuracy is based on how much detailed information you have and how much you take it. Image analysis. Image analysis extraction of meaningful information from image, mainly from digital images by means of digital image processing techniques. The end of chapter. Thank you.